Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Let's begin by telling you that the River State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has granted an ex parte order restraining the All Progressive Congress, APC, from holding its scheduled congresses in Rivers State. The court ordered that the national leadership of the APC, led by its chairman and its secretary, should not go ahead to conduct the ward, local government and state congresses scheduled for 11th, 16th and 26th of October 2024. The judge also restrains the national leadership of the party against any plan to suspend the Emeka Beke-led executives of the party in the state. The court further restrains the national chairman of the APC, the secretary and the APC from doing anything to interfere in the activities of the elected executives of APC in the state. Justice Olukayode Ariwola on Thursday retired as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, having clocked 70. While delivering his valedictory speech at the Supreme Court complex in Abuja, Ariwola disclosed that to suit the times and address current challenges, he signed off on the new Supreme Court rules 2024 earlier this month. He explained that upon assuming office as the CJN 2 years ago, he was concerned about the rules regulating procedures in the Apex Court, which had been in place for 39 years, predating the advent of the internet and electronic transactions. He noted that although practice directions have been issued periodically over the years to meet the demands of justice, the substantive rules were still from 1985.
32 years, I have always had one judgment or ruling pending for me to write. I cannot recall a single time in the last 3 decades when there was no judgment for me to write. I am glad to see my younger brother Ademola Abbas Ariwola seated here now with us this morning. He has been based in the United States since his undergraduate days in the early 80s. Anytime I had traveled to visit him for vacation, his wife would always exclaim that she had never seen someone coming on vacation with records of appeals and briefs of argument or writing judgments. It is for this reason that I believe that emoluments of judicial officers must not be sweated for in or outside the office. Our judges must not be made to go cap in hand to beg before their remunerations is paid. Our retired justices deserve to live in a relative reasonable comfort after spending their prime years serving the country. This is more so that they are constitutionally precluded from going back to active practice as barristers after leaving office. If truth must be told, the welfare of the judiciary is the welfare of the country.
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu is expected to return to Nigeria to swear in Kudirat Kekere-Ekun as the Chief Justice of Nigeria on Friday. The president is flying into the country on Thursday night. The swearing-in ceremony will take place at the council chambers in the presidential villa, Abuja. To look at this development, we're joined by legal practitioner Tunji Abdulhamid. Tunji, thank you for joining us.
Felicity, thank you for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. Ariwola retires with a call for measures to be put in place to reduce the burden on the Supreme Court, as there are too many cases before the court which ought to have been terminated at the appellate court. Coming from one who could have helped, how do you receive his message?
Well, it's unfortunate that this is what we do in our country. When people are in a position to make changes, they will not put those changes in place, or they will not even they will not struggle much to have those changes in place. Then when they are about leaving or when they are left, that's when they now begin to make a claim for those reforms. And this is not the first time. Even I remember one of these. I can't remember his name now. One of these Supreme Court justices that retired sometime last year or so. On his graduation day too, he said so many things that ought to have been said while in office, or ought to have been worked on while in office. He made so many suggestions that are very germane and are very critical to our development in judiciary. But I was wondering, what was he doing while he was there? Did he push for all this? Did he make enough demand or enough push to have those things in place? I wouldn't know, and I don't know what effort he has done. But I think if he has done that, he will also tell us that I've done this, I've done that to make sure these are in place. But unfortunately, I couldn't get it. But it appears just making those suggestions now or reform. We need those reform that he mentioned. That's why my worry is that while he was there, what was he doing?
To be fair, Tunji, to be fair, he was there for just 2 years, and in bringing you on, we did mention some of the things he said he was able to accomplish in the time that he was CJN. So 2 years, is that, aren't you maybe judging him too harshly? Are there things he could have accomplished in that time that you think he didn't?
Felicity, I was not in any way judging the former CJN. I was not at all. I was just making comment based on what he said. He was making a recommendation where he has the opportunity to also implement those recommendations or to also push for those recommendations while in office. That was what I was saying. I wasn't saying that he was sitting down and doing nothing or he did not do anything. But what I'm saying is that if these are the problem we have. Welfare issue, the welfare of the judiciaries are not judges are not taking seriously. Some other issues that reform, that corruption in the judiciary, backlog of cases, so many other things he mentioned, they are very germane. But I was wondering, he has the opportunity to push for some of this reform while he was there. I'm not saying some of them are not within his power, but he can push for it. He can make recommendations, he can make requests, he can make recommendations to those who are supposed to do it. But I am saying that, look, I am not aware. He may have done it. And I also say that if he has done it, he will tell us what that I have done this, I have done this, I have done that. You, the incoming CGN, please follow up on it so that we'll get the results. That's what I was saying. 2 years is not true. It's not a small day. It's not. 2 years is enough for to get some certain reform done in the judiciary.
Okay, we know that the National Judicial Council has recommended Kekere Egun to preside over, to be Ariwola's successor. What do we know about her, really?
Well, I think I met Justice Kekere Egun while she was a judge of the High Court in Lagos State. I think I was just barely a young lawyer when she was elevated to the Court of Appeal. And the little time I appeared before her, she was a thorough judge, very disciplined, and then doesn't tolerate any nonsense. So she's a very articulate and a very thorough person. That's what I know about her.
Okay. Would you expect her to do better, pending? Of course, we heard the president is probably going to cut his trip short to come and swear her in. Do you expect her to do better than what we've had with Ariwola?
Yeah, every person that is coming in to replace anybody must be able to do better. So I am expecting her to do better. But let me also correct an impression. She will be sworn in as acting chief judge of Nigeria, not CJN person. Our appointment must be approved by the Senate. It must be confirmed by the Senate. Until that is done, she cannot be addressed as a substantial chief judge of Nigeria. But like I said, I expect that she will do much better than those who are there, and she has more time than the current than the retired CJN. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't saying that the Justice Ariwola, the CJN retired, did not do nothing. I was just trying to say, look, those comments he made, those are not the appropriate time to make it. He should have made those comments or made those things while he was in office, so that people will know and they'll be able to say, look, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. You will not be waiting till when we are leaving office or when we have left office to make recommendations that we believe will change our system.
Atunji, it was important, the clarification you made about the fact that the president is only going to swear her in an acting capacity. I think the wait time for the Senate is between 4 to 6 months, right? In Ariwola's case, it was 4 months. Do we expect that to get up to
3 months?
Okay. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Away from judicial matters, the management of the NNPC Limited has reacted to allegations by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar on the OVH acquisition and claims of the criminal hijack of the NNPC by corporate cabals around the current president. In a statement Thursday titled OVH Acquisition, The Facts by NNPC Limited and signed by Olufemi Shoneye, Chief Corporate Communications Officer, NNPC Limited, the oil corporation described Atiku's claims as a false alarm, as neither Wale Tinubu nor the president has any interest in the OVH acquisition. In a statement, the former vice president was also quoted to have listed the retention of Mele Kyari as the group chief executive officer of the NNPC Limited as compensation for the alleged acquisition of NNPC Retail Limited by OVH, in which he claimed Wale Tinubu held 49% stake. He further alleged that the NNPC Retail Limited OVH acquisition deal was part of a grand scheme by President Bola Tinubu to integrate his business interest into Nigeria's public enterprises at the federal level. Following the recent increase in the price of obtaining a Nigerian passport, the Nigeria Diaspora Forum has called on the federal government to work with the diplomatic community to increase the value of the Nigerian passport. Speaking with News Central at the nation's capital, Abuja, the country director of the forum says that the Nigerian diaspora community is not worried about the increase in passport fees, but is concerned with the value. He said the Nigerian passport is currently ranked 94th on the Guide Passport Index and only provides visa-free access to 45 destinations.
Much bothered about the increment itself. Our concern is the value of the passport. You know, one of the things that we're advocating and we are telling our government is to find a way to place value on the passport through diplomatic negotiations, because our green passport can hardly take you into major countries of the world. I do not play with my passport, but I must tell the government to learn to collaborate, that they should create that room, because it appears there is a huge gap. There is a huge gap between the Nigerians in the diaspora and the government. They need to, you know, the president must cover that gap, in fact, the government should be able to start what I call town hall engagement in major countries of the world.
And one of our top stories tonight, residents of Sabon Birni, Sokoto State, rioted over the murder of Isa Bawa, the Emir of Gobir in Gawata town of Sokoto State. Bawa was abducted along with his son on his way to his native town of Sabon Birni, near the border with Niger, after attending a meeting in the regional capital, Sokoto. After 3 weeks in captivity and a video released to plead with the Nigerian government to help secure his release, Bawa died in captivity. Following his death, youths in Sabon Birni took to the streets to burn tires to express their grievance. This led to a clash between them and police officers who tried to quell the riot. Stakeholders converged on the Ochendo International Conference Center in Umuahia, Abia State, southeast Nigeria, for a town hall meeting at the instance of the Minister of State for Police Affairs, Imam Suleiman Ibrahim, to seek better ways of improving security in the state. The meeting attracted the police and sister agencies, traditional rulers, legal practitioners, and captains of industries in the state. News Central's Chinwe Ugele has details.
They say is everybody's business. Hence the meeting to once again highlight the need for all to take seriously matters concerning it.
We are all policing officers. We are all custodians of security, and we must recognize our role, either as watchdogs or informants, and contribute to shaping a safer and more resilient society.
And our individual and collective responsibility to keep our community safe from the activities of good trafficking and profit from criminality.
The Minister of State for Police Affairs, Imam Suleiman Ibrahim, said it was necessary to bring stakeholders together to make them understand why they should get involved in security.
The security and safety of each community rests on the shoulders of the community dwellers. It's very important that we work as a team. So we just want the stakeholders and the community to take ownership and responsibility of the safety of their communities and work hand in hand with the security agencies.
You cannot police people who do not want to be policed. You cannot protect people who do not want to be protected, no matter how much you try. So the best thing is to let people key in to the program and support the program so that it is easier.
The minister had a brief inspection of the police clinic and school at the Central Police Station in Umuahia, where she also observed that some of the police facilities needed rehabilitation. The state chairman of the Traditional Rulers Council, Linus Mba, agrees that security is a joint effort which cannot be ignored by citizens.
Let the people, let the community know how to track down the criminals in their domain and be sure that they are living in peace. But these people are coming in various styles.
Even business owners are aware that every part of the state must be secure for their businesses to thrive.
No, Cattle Market, we have at least not less than 50 vigilantes that are assaulted in the cattle market. And at the same time, I'm working with police hand to hand. The citizens need to be highly security conscious and to know things that are happening around their communities. Communities need to be secured. If you don't secure the communities, the urban areas will be secure.
Community policing has always improved the trust the citizens have for the police to some extent. In Umuahia for News Central, Chinwe Ugeli.
Many thanks, Chinwe. We're on a short break now. When we come back, we have stories from Plateau and other parts of Nigeria. Just stay with us. Reactions have continued to trail the immediate suspension of Chisantas Dawam, who was the Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, and Jamila Tucker, who served as the Commissioner for Tourism, Culture and Hospitality in Plateau State. The suspension, approved by Governor Caleb Mufwang, also affected Dio Lamoul, who was Special Advisor on Rural Development, and Moses Sule, who served as Liaison Officer for Mikang constituency. News Centre's Chizoba Anyowe tells us more.
This is the first shake-up in the administration of Governor Caleb Mutfwang since assuming office in May 2023. One of his promises to the people of Plateau State was to ensure that public office holders under his watch remain accountable and productive, otherwise be shown the way out. One may not be wrong to say that the governor's words have started playing out. The Commissioner for Information in the state was handy for more explanation to this unexpected development.
There's nothing wrong with what has happened. It is reshufflement in governance and in government. From time to time, you have to do that. And I'm happy that in this country, my governor is the first to suspend commissioners, is the first to reshuffle. We cannot wait until the day after forever before we do all of that. By this suspension and reshufflement, Plateau people should know that we have a governor that understands the governance. It means he has re-evaluated what is happening on the plateau. He has reassessed what is happening on the plateau. He has re-examined what is happening on the plateau.
Later same day, the governor further approved a minor reshuffle of his cabinet, which Gyangberry, his Director of Press and Public Affairs, said was to enhance effective service delivery to citizens of the state. Under the new dispensation, Mr. Noel Nkop, the former Commissioner for Water Resources and Energy, will now serve as the Commissioner for Youth and Sports Development, while Bashir Dati, who previously held the position of Commissioner for Youth and Sports Development, has been reassigned as the Commissioner for Water Resources and Energy.
There is nothing new, there's nothing strange. In governance, these things happen. And I'm happy that Plateau people have understood that the governor is up and doing. The governor knows what is happening on the plateau. The governor has his ears to the ground and is...
The other aspect is that if the governor shifts you from one ministry to another, you have the right to say, I don't want, and you go home. If the governor suspends you, you equally have the right to say, okay, I'm done. I don't want to continue. So for me, I don't think there's any major issue of worry there. Is administration, government, and the governor doing what he or she needs to do from time to time.
Meanwhile, Mr. Stephen Gadong has been appointed as the acting head of civil service of the state following the retirement of Mrs. Rauta Dakok, who reached the mandatory retirement age of 60 years on August 24, 2024. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowi.
Many thanks, Chizoba. Following the police invitation of President of Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Joe Ajaero, for questioning over allegations of criminal conspiracy, terrorism financing, treasonable felony, subversion and cybercrime, more critical unions, which are NLC affiliates, have given strike notices to their members to proceed on indefinite strike should Ajaero be arrested. Among unions that had already given the strike notices to their members are the National Union of Electricity Employees, Nigeria Union of Teachers, and National Union of Textile, Garment and Tailoring Workers of Nigeria. Others include Iron and Steel Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Fitters of Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Nigeria Union of Agriculture and Allied Employees. To discuss this, we're joined by former National Coordinator, Middle Belt Patriot, Zari Yusuf. Zari, thank you for joining us. The NLC affiliates are given strike. It's a pleasure to have you. The NLC affiliates are given strike notices should Ajaero be arrested, not just in Nigeria. Off our shores, a US-based union have petitioned the Nigerian embassy, faulting the perceived harassment and persecution of trade unions and their leaders in Nigeria. We also know that Amnesty International, International Trade Union. What do you make of this show of solidarity?
Well, thank you so much. First of all, this show of solidarity tells you that the attempt, I don't know that to say by the federal government or by the regime that is currently in place to arrest the NLC leader is unpopular, is unwelcome, and to a large extent is unfounded, I would say, because clearly, as some people would ask, what specifically do you mean when you talk about terrorism financing, when you talk about treasonable felony, when you talk about subversion and all of the crimes they listed against him? So it appears to a large extent that even though I've never been so much of a fan of the industrial actions of the NLC, especially from the coming of this regime, but it appears to be the only body or the only aspect at the national level of our country that could basically question certain things, could basically reject certain things, could basically hold the government to account. Precisely, I'd say it's almost the last move at an absolute and a total state capture, where basically every aspect of the country is answerable to a particular individual, regardless what the consequences of the actions may be. So I think these organizations are doing more than what we would refer to as solidarity with Ajaero, and more of a solidarity to what would appear to be the last hope of Nigerians, regardless how good or bad their outings have been as NLC. But I think that is basically what the solidarity is all about. It's not exactly about the individual, much as I would say from the end of the government, it is not the individual per se, but basically whatever will be done to NLC to basically put whoever heads that place or the body itself in line with regards to what subsequently we get to face in the country or what we get to receive from the government.
One of the accusations is that the federal government is using the police to try and undermine and intimidate NLC and its leadership with this allegation of financing terrorism. My guest yesterday on the news held similar view. He agrees that there is an effort to intimidate. I'm curious to your view. Do you believe that there is an effort to scuttle the NLC and the work that they are doing?
Yes, like I said earlier, the NLC appears to be the last platform that Nigerians could basically express themselves. Now, I would agree with his submission, your guest yesterday, and equally build on what I began saying. When you look at, the judiciary, you look at the legislature, of course, the executive is already headed by, the president. And everybody in that cabinet, everybody appointed is definitely going to dance to that particular tune. But the next body that you would hope will checkmate whatever exercise or excesses that comes from the executive arm would be the legislature, and then will be the judiciary. And as far as those two are concerned, those arms are concerned, I can assure you at least 110% of Nigerians do not expect anything. So now looking at the NLC, which, like I said, is the last resort or the body that has, that seemingly, appears to have the platform where Nigerians could basically express their grievance and all of that. Of course, people could do whatever they want to do without the NLC, but looking at it as, that Congress that would do so. That's why I said it appears to be the last or the punch of the government to basically castrate, that body so that it falls in line, and then whatever happens basically goes, unchecked.
I think we have time for one more question for you. Going by the reactions so far and this show of solidarity to Ajaero and the union, do you expect any arrest come August 29, where when Ajaero honors the police invitation?
There two things are likely to happen. The first one is it's unlikely that Ajaero will refuse to honor the invitation. He had already said he'd go, and he does not have a track record of any criminality, best as we know to our understanding. Now, I have always seen this government as the government that would always take an extra step to test the resolve of the masses. So yes, I do see a tendency of attempting to arrest him, because they've done a couple of other things that have had far more profound impact on the masses than just arresting the NLC leader. So yes, I suspect they would want to arrest him, and getting away with that would simply mean the very last point of any mass action or any threats to any industrial action has now become ineffective against the government. So they would attempt to do that, to dare whatever it is the rest of the unions threatening to do, to see whatever they would do. That's one thing. And then what other thing I suspect is that they are threatening to do so, so that at least they get to summon him and then they get to put him in check. Maybe they threaten arrest just as a way of forcing him to just show up, and then keeping the label, the NLC and the rest of the unions in check. And I think it spells. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I was just trying to butt in. Thank you very much, as always, for speaking with us. We appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you so much.
The prolonged petrol scarcity worsened in Lagos, Ogun, and other states as independent marketers started lifting the product from private depots at 780 naira per litre from 595 per litre, indicating an increase of 31%. The marketers believe the hike in price reflects the current demand and supply of the product in the domestic market. The public relations officer of IPMAN, Chinedu Ukadike, who confirmed this, expressed optimism that the bad situation could improve in the coming days. Ukadike noted that more trucks have left the depot in the past few days, adding that though independent marketers are still sourcing the product at a higher rate, more marketers can load their trucks. Earlier, National Industrial Relations Officer Pengason Eze Ifeanyi joined us on the news to speak on this.
The current price in NMPC retail outlets is not even one price. I think you can get it from like 6.15 to maybe 6.30, depending on the location. Like you mentioned, the independent marketer said they load above 700. And that is why the private outlets now sell as much as 870, above 800 in some locations.
Nigeria's North Central region has been allocated 26% of the nation's legacy projects on road infrastructure. This was made known by Nigeria's Minister of Works, David Umahi, during a World Press Conference, where he revealed that the ministry will not be proposing any new projects for the 2025 fiscal year. News Centre's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
It's the first-year anniversary in office of Nigeria's Minister of Works, David Umahi. The minister took time to give account of his stewardship. While reeling out ongoing projects approved by the Federal Executive Council, he noted that the country's ongoing projects in 2024 are exhaustive and need to be finished before allocating any project for the 2025 fiscal year.
We don't want new projects. Put money in the ones that you have listed before so that we can have them completed. We don't want multiplicity of projects. Today we have over 4,000 projects in the Ministry of Works, and by law we have to procure them. So we want to ensure that not only procuring them, we have to, work towards getting them completed.
The minister further explained that inflation has contributed significantly to the rising cost of most of these projects, and it will be in the nation's best interest to finish ongoing projects before embarking on others.
And you see the Lagos-Calabar is ending somewhere at Calabar, and it's taking off again with about 99 kilometers, passing through to Ebonyi State by the beach, and it is there with about 119 kilometers within Ebonyi axis, going through 66 kilometers within Benue axis, goes through as a Bagana, a bridge with about 1.35 kilometers that will be constructed, and then ends in Abuja. Now, when you're in Abuja, you see at this point in Abuja, you see a road that is from Abuja is going to Maraba. Right now, we are constructing a road from Maraba to Kefi. But from Kefi to Makodi is already completed. Then, if you follow this route, Maraba, Kefi, then going to Makodi, you get to a point at Akwanga. And that is where the fourth legacy project is taking off, and taking off to Jos, to Bauchi, and then to Gombe. I inspected the Gombe project, Gombe-Bauchi route, on 15th of this month, and this is apt, and we believe God that this president will have the grace to actualize them.
The minister provided breakdown of the projects distributed across Nigeria's 6 political zones.
North Central has 26%, the Northeast has 10%, the Northwest has 16%, the Southeast has 5%, the South-South has 24%, the Southwest has 20%, and that is the distribution of the 4 legacy projects.
He says that the ministry is working around the clock to ensure the completion of projects already on ground. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Ovation International, the parent company of Ovation Magazine and Television, has entered into a strategic content partnership with News Central. This collaboration will see News Central exclusively air both past and upcoming high-profile social events by Ovation through its Social Diary segment. In a statement on Thursday, Kayode Akintemi, managing editor, director and editor-in-chief of News Central, said the deal will elevate the station's weekend programming by offering viewers a closer look at elite gatherings in Nigeria and across Africa. Akintami emphasized that the inclusion of Ovation's exclusive content aligns perfectly with News Central's commitment to providing high-quality programming to viewers. The World Food Programme, WFP, 8 trucks successfully crossed into a war-torn Sudan from Chad on Thursday via the key Andre border crossing, which had been closed for 6 months by Sudanese authorities. The prolonged closure had severely hindered humanitarian efforts to deliver crucial aid to millions affected by the ongoing conflicts between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF. The reopening of this border crossing marks a significant step in addressing the dire needs of those caught in the conflict.
Trucks have the 13 months to cross from Chad into Sudan at the Adre border post. And this is a very good news because this corridor is the easiest and the fastest for humanitarian aid to reach populations in critical need in Darfur.
It is time to turn the page on Donald Trump. Tim Walz said in a landmark speech setting his stall out against the Republicans. Kamala Harris' peak for vice president formally introduced himself to the Democratic faithful, and drawing on his time as a high school American football coach, he urged them to leave it all out on the field until Election Day. For News Central, Afia Hagan has more.
Bitterness of a decade dominated by former President Donald Trump. So last night at the convention, a joy strategy portraying Vice President Kamala Harris as the candidate who can move the nation forward was on full display. Former President Bill Clinton said Harris brings sheer joy to the 2024 race. Oprah Winfrey urged Americans to choose joy.
And what we're going to do is elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. And let us choose joy.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg contrasted Trump's darkness with the brand of politics offered by Harris and her running mate Tim Walz, which he said just feels better to be part of. Singer John Legend and drummer Sheila E. played Prince's Let's Go Crazy, and Stevie Wonder performed Higher Ground, continuing the joy theme of the night. Now it's time for Harris to turn that joy into firm policies and make America see a president. Her speech at the DNC on Thursday night will represent her most exacting test yet, in a dizzying month that rocketed her to the threshold of an historic presidency that could reshape American politics. The vice president will offer the country a new beginning and a chance to move to a different place, beyond the prolonged funk brewed by years of Donald Trump's dark rhetoric and public exhaustion after a once-in-a-century pandemic and consequent punishing high prices. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagan.
Let's now join our business team for today's update.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In business, domestic transactions on the Nigerian exchange stood at 598.41 billion naira in January, accounting for 91.85% of the total market activity. February saw a dip, with domestic transactions falling to 292.07 billion naira, making up 81.61%. Also, March recorded a recovery as domestic transactions reached 444.28 billion naira, representing 82.50% of total transactions. In April, domestic transactions dropped to 225.40 billion naira, or 65.10% of total market activity. In the period under review, May's domestic transactions steadily increased to 231.10 billion naira, contributing 65.03%. June recorded 272.36 billion naira in domestic transactions, making up 76.82% of market activity, while July witnessed a surge, with domestic transactions rising to 434.09 billion naira, a 59.38% increase from the previous month. And finally, in East Africa, investors at the Nairobi Securities Exchange lost 53 billion Kenyan shillings in paper wealth in the 3 months to June 2024 as market volatility continued to impact the financial market. Latest market insights by Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, KIPRA, shows that the loss majorly resulted from a 2.97 drop in the total value of shares traded in the period. The period was marked by political tensions, mostly occasioned by the Gen Z-driven demonstrations, raising uncertainties among investors, which worsened market conditions. Kipra noted that the index experienced fluctuations throughout the quarter, driven by varied investor sentiment. That's offering on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Petrol Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly.
In sports, the Super Eagles of Nigeria are expected to resume camping on the 1st of September ahead of their 2025 AFCON qualifiers. Meanwhile, a Turkish club has terminated the contract of Nigerian international Azubike Okechukwu. In Formula One, Lewis Hamilton has given his 100% backing to the Grand Prix in Africa. Udoka Njoku brings us more.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria are expected to resume camping in Uyo on the 1st of September ahead of their 2025 AFCON qualifiers against Benin Republic and Rwanda. Nigeria, who are three-time African champions, will welcome the Cheetahs of Benin Republic on the 7th of September at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo before flying out to Kigali to face the Amavubi of Rwanda 3 days later for a second AFCON qualifier. The NFF are yet to name a new coach for the Super Eagles, with both matches mere days away. Turkish club Kayker Rizespor has announced the contract termination of Nigerian international Azubike Okechukwu. Azubike joined Rizespor last summer after his contract expiration with Istanbul Başakşehir. Reoccurring injuries affected his progress in the team, and both parties have now agreed to part ways. The former Bayelsa United midfielder has been training with second-tier side Erzurumspor in the past few days. Ahead of the kickoff of the 2024-2025 Mauritania Premier Football League season, video assistant referee equipment has arrived in the country. The Mauritania Football Association, at the end of last season, announced that the VAR will be fully implemented in the coming seasons. According to reports, the proposed equipment arrived in the country on Thursday and it is being installed at all the match venues. The Mauritania League will accommodate Sudanese League giants Al Hilal and Al Merrek this season, as the Sudanese League is currently suspended due to civil strife. The new Mauritania Premier League season is scheduled to commence next week. Seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton on Thursday gave his 100% backing to a Grand Prix in Africa, with Formula One bosses poised for talks over staging a race in Rwanda. Formula One chief executive Stefano Domenicali has set up a meeting next month with representatives from Rwanda who have put forward a serious proposal. Africa has not hosted a Grand Prix since 1993 in South Africa, but Domenicali said Formula One bosses needed to weigh up several factors. The 39-year-old Hamilton said it was 100% the right time to bring racing to Africa. And that's a wrap on Sports Update. I am Udoka Njoku.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Tonight on Entertainment News, veteran Nigerian rapper and music executive Chibuzo Nelson Azubike, widely known as Phyno, has expanded his record label, Penthouse, by signing a new and promising artist. Penthouse, which has a history of nurturing talents like Runtown, Flipside, and Storm Rex, currently showcases Superboy Check, a rapper and singer who has made significant waves in the industry. The latest addition to the label is Alpha P, a rising star who recently impressed with his performance on Timaya's album Gladiator alongside Phyno and Olamide. Alpha P's addition to Penthouse marks an exciting new chapter for the label. His upcoming collaboration with YBNL's frontman Olamide on the track W, set for release on August 23, 2024, is eagerly anticipated. This move further cements Phyno's commitment to supporting and promoting emerging talent in the Nigerian music scene while also expanding the reach and influence of his label. Victoria Beckham is stepping into the spotlight with her very own Netflix docu-series, following her scene-stealing appearance in her husband David Beckham's series last year. According to Variety, the upcoming series, which has yet to be titled, will chronicle Victoria's evolution from her days as posh spice to her current status as the modern fashion mogul. The show promises to give fans a behind-the-scenes look at how she's building her fashion empire, offering an intimate glimpse into the life of the former pop star turned designer. The docu-series will feature appearances from those closest to Victoria, including friends and family, adding a personal touch to the narrative. While details are still emerging and the director has yet to be named, the series is already generating excitement among fans eager to see the journey that has shaped Victoria Beckham into the fashion icon she is today. That's all on Entertainment Tonight.
And that is all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Court has stopped APC congresses in Rivers State. Sokoto residents have clashed with police in Sabon over Emir's death in captivity. Fuel scarcity has worsened as independent marketers load at 780 naira per litre. We also brought you news that the World Food Programme aid trucks have crossed into Sudan after months-long border closure. Do send your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen, or you could follow us on social media to do that at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks as always for watching. Have a good night.